Good afternoon, everyone. It's 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon, and welcome to our regular webinar broadcast regarding you and your business and thriving as we move forward through this COVID pandemic. Today, we have a similar format to the format we've had in the past, and that is we have new information, and Steve is going to give us an update on all of the new information that's come forward over the course of the past week. In addition to that, we have a special guest presenter today, Amanda Aschinger, who is CEO of Solstice Productions. And Amanda will be introduced in more detail later by Terry Lammers, and Terry will be involved in helping through and interviewing her in her presentation. But before we do that, let me quickly give you a reminder on the process that we're working here in the logistics for this webinar. So we're in Zoom. This is a Zoom webinar. We're recording everything that's occurring for the duration of the webinar. You will see at the bottom of your screen a Q&A button. If you want to ask a question, pose a question anytime throughout the webinar, type your question into the Q&A portal where you'll see that link at the bottom of the screen. We will try to answer that question during the webinar. If we don't get to all of the questions during the webinar, we will post a Q&A recap on our YouTube page, which is linked to our Google Docs page, and the Google Docs page will have that. In addition to having a recording of this webinar on the YouTube page, any documents that we share, including the PowerPoint that you see now, will be shared with you on that page. So with that said, Steve, I turn it over to you, and let's get started.
Excellent, Marquita. And again, we are very appreciative of you giving us your Thursday afternoon to moderate these sessions. And we appreciate everything you do for us every single day of the week. So thanks very much. Just to jump in, just a quick update on a couple of the aid programs that are going on, and then we'll jump right into our featured guest. And we've really got some really fantastic information for you today. So let me dive into the aid updates. I want to start by reminding our audience that we're a week away from July 30th. Everybody knew that, but I want to remind you that's a key date, because as of right now, July 30th will be the last pay period for the $600 a week pandemic unemployment assistance. And as business owners, many people have a strong opinion that that has kept people from coming back to work. So that money may well go away. We'll see what Congress does over the next few days. It's also the day that Congress goes home for the summer break. So if they're going to get anything done, they're going to have to get it done in the next week. Took the liberty of pulling up the jobless announcements that come out every Thursday morning. The good news is the downward trend continues. The bad news is this week it ticked up a little bit to 1.4 million people. So remember, almost 1/5 of the U.S. economy had filed for jobless claims at one point in time. So we were really up there in unprecedented numbers. But overall, the trend is going down, and you know, there's a lot of thought around the fact that we got to get people back to work and to be able to effectively deal with what's happening in this pandemic. So just wanted everybody to be aware of the trends and the fact that 1 week from now, we may begin to see some significant movement on that. To give you a couple of updates on the aid programs. First and foremost, PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program loans, are still available. In fact, as of last Friday, there was more than $131 billion worth of funding available for business owners. So those loans are still available. Lenders are still processing applications for those. If you are in need of that, we helped a company earlier this week get their application in place. We are available to assist you in that regard. If your bank tells you that they are through processing those and you need another lender to talk with about those loans, we have a list of lenders that we can refer to you as well. For those of you that may have received the PPP loans, A lot of folks have been through their forgiveness applications and have gone to their bank to submit the forgiveness applications, and banks have given them one of three answers. One, will take your forgiveness application and hold it, but we can't process it yet. Two is, don't give us your forgiveness application yet, we can't do anything with it. And three is, yeah, thanks for thinking about that, but that whole process may change, so you may have to redo that forgiveness application. The bottom line is the SBA has not opened up the portal for the lenders to submit the forgiveness applications yet. And there are a couple of major points that the SBA is looking to get clarified. There is a move afoot. People, you may have heard about this on the nightly news or the morning news or the business channels or the various business papers, but Congress is contemplating blanket forgiveness for anybody that received any business, I should say, that received a PPP loan in the amount of $150,000 or less. If in fact that happens, that obviously would have a significant positive impact, in my opinion, for the business community. And keep in mind that 86% of all PPP loans were $150,000 or less. So that's one of the things that the SBA is waiting on. And so the banks can't do anything with the forgiveness applications yet until they have the SBA portal open for them to be able to file with the SBA the actual forgiveness application. The second thing we want to share with you guys is that the EIDL loans, the funding did run out last week, but it is significant to learn that greater than 10 million small businesses, so roughly 1 in 3 small business throughout the United States actually received an EIDL loan of some form. So hopefully you were a part of that, if in fact your business was affected by this pandemic. And if your business was not affected in a way that's detrimental, God bless you. Glad to hear that. Finally, the Main Street Lending Program is open. So if you are in need of business funding, there is that third tranche, the Main Street Lending Program, that is available. And it is a program that is delivered by lenders. You do not go directly to the government for that. You go through a bank or other lender. So just reach out to your lender if you need any more details about that. And we have disseminated lots of information about that in previous webinars. You can go back to our YouTube channel and learn more about that if that interests you. Number one thing that we're hearing from our clients and our community is managing cash flow. What should you be doing now? We've talked about this in a couple of our previous webinars. We're just going to take a couple of minutes and talk about it here again today. First and foremost, if you've got to juggle the bills and determine what bills get paid and what bills don't get paid, pay those that are affiliated with your direct costs now. So your direct costs are things like your suppliers, things that are, or your direct payroll expenses, the things that are directly responsible for delivering your product or service. Without those, your business slows down and may even come to a stop. So you got to take care of paying for all of your direct costs. And in all of those situations, seek expanded terms where possible. So if you're on a 7-day term or something with your vendors, now's the great time to be talking to them about our expanded terms available to you. The next point would be to pay your indirect costs after that. Take care of direct costs first if you have to be discretionary about who to pay and who not to pay. And then debts. If you have business debts, credit card debt, line of credit debt, long-term financing debt for equipment or vehicles or buildings, you should be in contact with all of your debt providers in that regard and see what type of deferment terms they are offering. The vast majority of lenders are providing deferment terms. And if you haven't taken advantage of that, now's a good time for you to do so. Most importantly, we want to underscore, there is no more important time in our history than right now to really understand what your bankability is. Know what your current debt coverage ratios are, know where you currently stand, and be in a position to deal from a position of knowledge and strength as you're dealing with your various lenders right now. So the final thing we'll note is just explore your rights. In the state of Missouri and the state of Illinois, the various governors have enacted various executive orders, and the legislatures have provided some relief and specific actions. So for example, in the state of Missouri, your utility companies can't cut you off during the pandemic period that we're going through right now under executive order. Evictions have been suspended under executive order. So there's no real threat in some of those areas. And if you've got to make choices between what bills you do pay and what bills you don't pay, take the time to be informed about how it could affect your potential business. We also want to just highlight a couple of things. As a business owner, you ought to be focusing on solidifying your relationships with your clients and prospective clients right now. It's an area for you to be able to really make a difference with those folks. Explore strategic alternatives where necessary as well. You may not have some capabilities, but be flexible in the capabilities that you do deliver. Many restaurants may not have had a takeout program or a delivery program in the past. We've helped several get affiliated with various other strategic alliances like Uber Eats and I'm trying to think of the other big one, and I can't off the top of my head right now, but you got to be thinking about that. Think about various ways that you can expand your network and expand your service through strategic alliances. And then finally, you know, folks, there's no precedence for this. You know, people talked about the previous recessions. Those were basically downturns. This is kind of a start and stop scenario. So, you know, banks are trying to figure it out. All your competitors are trying to figure it out. We're certainly trying to figure it out. And our objective here is to become a trusted resource of information for you. And along that line, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Lammers, who's going to introduce our featured guest.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate the update. Today, happy to introduce Amanda Aschinger with Solstice Productions. Amanda and I have known each other for a couple of years, and she called me when this whole COVID-19 thing started and said, Terry, you guys need to do a quick 1-minute video to inform people, and we blasted it out, and it really helped get a ton of people on our webinars that we was doing. So welcome, Amanda, and happy to talk with you about how creating videos can help build the brand.
Sure.
Correct?
Thank you. Yeah, so I have a presentation. I'm gonna take over your screen now. Oh, I can't.
Steve, can you?
Thanks. Okay. Nope. Still no. Still no. It says I can't while you are.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it just gave you the control. It says waiting for Amanda to control the screen. Let me stop the share, and now maybe you can.
Okay. Yes, I can. Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm going to start my show. You guys can see this, I'm assuming?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm doing a presentation called Tasty Little Bites, and I know we're talking about how can we pivot and survive and thrive. You offer as a business owner, and Steve alluded to this as well, you offer a lot of value that clients need, particularly right now. The issue is, how do you let prospective clients know that you offer these? And how do you let your existing clients know that maybe you're expanding in the services that you can offer? There's business out there to be had. We want to help you get that. So we like to tell stories along the theme. So my theme is food today.
Hey,
it's a good 3 o'clock in the afternoon theme.
I think we wanted to add to tell everybody, if they have any questions, please type them in the Q&A section and we'll answer them as we go along. So Amanda's been very generous in saying, hey, let's make this conversational and
Yes.
go from there, right?
Thank you. Absolutely. So we're going to start off with who's making buying decisions. We did some research, and by and large, millennials are in the early stages of the research and evaluation of vendors and solutions. And maybe it's surprising to you, maybe it's not, but millennials will rank video as the most important content format when they're researching new products or services. So your end buyer might be a C-suite executive, a vice president, a key decision maker. They're often leaning on younger people in their organization to help them find good solutions to problems, find vendors who can provide those solutions, and make good recommendations. And this is where video can really help you connect with a new audience. We've also done work with a lot of companies who have had relationship work for years. We may work with a client for, potentially even decades. The issue is that those key executives age out, right? And you need to also engage the generation behind them. So this is a reason that video can be really powerful. Any questions, comments, concerns? No.
Good right now.
Move on. Okay. This is a question we get asked very, very often. How long should my video be? So the correct answer is your video should be as long as your story is. But we took this study. This is a study of 400,000 videos, so it's pretty broad range. We didn't take the study. We found the study from Wistia. And they found that about 70% of the audience will watch all the way through for up to 2 minutes. So we'll usually tell people ideal length for a video is somewhere between that 1 and 2 minute mark, depending on the story. However, you can see that even 50% of the audience is still on at this 13 to 14 minute mark. So it really is true that if your story takes a little bit longer than 1 or 2 minutes to tell, it is okay, and you can keep the audience on for that amount of time. I think these webinars are a good example of that, right? You're doing about an hour of content, people are staying engaged and watching the video when you send it out if they've missed the first one. As long as your content is good and engaging, you can usually keep somebody on. So in order to keep your content good and engaging, the first thing you have to do is know who's going to watch your video. So we start with a series of questions. What result do I want to see? Okay. Do you want to increase your brand awareness? I know we were talking about building brand or rebuilding brand through video. This is a good time to tell people how you're adjusting, what you can offer, that you're still here, that you're working in a safe and effective way, that you're offering a valuable service. Do you want to increase your opportunity for requests for proposals, depending on what kind of industry you're in? Do you want to increase your win rate on proposals? Do you want to attract talent? Steve was talking earlier about the benefits and a concern that some business owners have about whether people will return to work or won't. It might be a time where you're looking for talent to help fill people who are not ready yet. Do you need to retain the talents that you have? And do you want to increase other kinds of proposal and sales opportunities? So you always want to start with, what do I want to see happen? So you've decided what your goal is. Now you need to decide who the viewer is, who can make that decision. So these are just some examples. You might be talking to municipalities. You could be talking to owners of facilities, contractors, government institutions. It might be the general public, recent graduates. It's important to know who your audience is so that you can speak to them on a level that they understand, so that you can speak language that resonates with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what's interesting is I think also, what we seen when the COVID crisis was just starting, there was nobody that was really having webinars yet. So I think it's also neat that you guys don't have a long timeline to get this done. I mean, you can record on Monday and have your video on Wednesday. And if you hit somebody—
Don't go around promising that, Terry. So that is true. When on March 16th, I guess that was the first day, right? When we are 17th, the first day when St. Louis County and city started to really shut down. And throughout that week, we had several clients projects we were prepping, we had things booked through the entire year, and people started calling saying, hey, we have to hold until we figure out what's going to happen. So then as a team, we said, okay, well, what is going to happen? And made the decision that what we could do that would help in this moment is tell stories, give information to people that they need. So the first piece that we created was one that we made in-house about how to work from home and how to manage a work from home team. We are in an office space, but we've worked with remote teams for over 20 years. So we know the basics of what to do and what not to do, what works to still get the job done. We put together that video and we sent it out to our list. We sent it to our clients and we said, hey, you know, you finding yourself in a new position, we've been there and we understand what you're going through. So here's some information. We think this might be helpful for you. Sent it out and we had a really great response of people asking, can I share it with my HR department? Can I send it to my whole team? Can I send it to all of my clients? So we didn't make any money off of that project, but it was a great way for us. Well, we've gotten projects from it. It was a great way for us to engage with our client base and to say, we're still here. We know what you're dealing with and we want to help. Then we reached out to Terry, as Terry mentioned, because the next thing that started coming out was information about these SBA programs. And we're not the right people to answer those questions, but we knew that Terry and Steve were. So we reached out and said, people want to know this is really important. We're going to cover the production cost on this, but we'd love for you to do it. And that's a piece that you guys had used to help build the audience for this webinar and help shift and pivot your own business as well, and doing additional pieces since then. So it is definitely possible to shoot a video and turn it around very quickly. And sometimes that's what's needed. So that's a question, right? Who's the audience? Our audience at that point was all of our clients and all these business owners who finding themselves in a very new, waking up to a very new reality. And we wanted to help quickly and respond quickly to that. All right, thank you, Terry. That was a good question. So we just kind of talked about this, right? So what does your audience want? There's still today, we don't know what's down the road COVID-wise, right? So this is a general list of what your audience might want. We want to know that you provide a better solution, you can save money, you're more enticing, comply with regulations. Right now, we really want to know also, can you work safely? And can you be effective and also efficient? Because we are everybody's managing our cash flow right now, right? So we want to know that we can get things done that are necessary for us or important for us at a price that makes sense for us, on a timeline that makes sense for us, and that it's delivered in a way that makes us feel comfortable and safe. Okay, a great video starts with a great script. So we talked about just a little bit about branding, and at the end of this presentation I'll show a couple of 1-minute videos. There's a lot of quotes along this line, but the reality is it's hard to write a 15 to 30 to 60-second script. The tendency is, I like this quote, if it's a 10-minute speech, it takes 2 weeks to prepare. And if I can talk as long as I want to, I need no preparation at all, right? The tendency is to want to give everybody all of the information. And when you need to hone that down and get just to a core message that drives the singular action that you're looking for from the video, that becomes quite difficult. That's when it's important to ask good questions, to consider the needs of the audience, and to consider what will give the audience what they need right now so that they can take the next step. At the end of the day, that's the goal of the video, is to take the next step. And you guys can chime in anytime if people have questions.
Well, I was laughing about that because in working with Mike to do a couple of videos that I did, you know, the first time really didn't know what to expect and just kind of came in with some bullet points. And by the third one, I came in with what I thought was going to be my 1-minute speech, and he's like going 1 minute was really about 4 minutes, but it is interesting. I mean, it's really hitting a couple bullet points, and I've done a lot of audio videos, but getting in front of a camera is definitely a different experience to get it right.
It is. It's a different experience, and you want people to be able to remember. At the end of the day, it's just about that, right? If I saw it and I forgot it, was it worthwhile making? No. If I see it, you want me to remember it, right? So that's really at the core of it. So get right to the point. There's a study done, now this is 5 years ago, that shows that if a person even only watches 1 second, they can still increase their ad recall, brand awareness, and purchase consideration. So you need to hook people from right from the start. And you want to do that by telling them essentially, why should they care? Why is this important to you? so that you can answer that question before you continue on with what your solution is. There's a tendency in sales, and there's a tendency in video as well to present solutions. I can do this, and this. I have these capabilities. At the end of the day, we don't care about your capabilities. We care about your solution to my problem, right? And that's the way that you want to design your video script. You also really need to stay focused, and this is something that we've been working on. Terry, when you come into the studio to shoot, that one video really needs to have one memorable message, and you want to try to keep that as clean and succinct as possible. So you need to choose a single story. You want people to watch it and to be able to sum up the message with one sentence, right? Oh, I watched a video about how to fill out the PPP loan application, right? You want them to really have one sentence in which they can repeat what it was that your video was about. And then I have a burst of flavor. I have a little picture of a amuse-bouche here because I like amuse-bouche. And a burst of flavor just means, you can take full advantage of what video has to offer. It may seem surprising to some people. Video has visuals and audio. So they don't need to you don't need to show literally what is being said. You don't need to say literally what is being shown. And when you can have those things work together, so that instead of it being one frame being one thing, one frame can mean many, many things. One scene can mean many things. And so you can get a lot of information out in a very short period of time, which is why a 60-second video can provide a lot of information, one very easy to remember message, and have a lot of impact. Make every second count. You're typically going to have about 5 seconds before people decide if they're going to stay on the video or click off. Do we have a question that just came in? Did I see that?
Yeah. Said Daniel asked, what about videos for your landing pages and websites? Still 60 seconds?
It really depends on the information that you need to get across. Do recommend staying under 2 minutes. It doesn't need to be 60 seconds, but 60 to 90 is a really good way to introduce yourself. So it depends. We do explainer videos that are closer to 3 or 4 minutes when you need to get into some real detail. But if you're just shaking hands, just shake hands. Okay. And here's why. You want to leave the audience looking for the next answer. What you'd really like them to do at the end of your landing page video is click through to set the appointment. Click through to schedule a free consultation. Click through to watch the longer video that gives them the additional information that they need. If you give them too much, they're going to get information overload and tap out. So you really want them to want to take the next step. Like going on a date, right? Wait until the second date before you kiss or whatever. You do it the way you want to do it. But
A long time, Amanda.
All right. And then it's great to create supporting content for engaged viewers. So video is one tactic in an entire toolbox of tactics. It's good to do things like this webinar, where you can use a short video to help promote your programs, and then you can do longer content like this that are discussion-driven, information-driven pieces. It's great to write blogs. It's a great idea to use social to share other people's content. So video is one piece of what should be an overall strategy. It's not going to, in some cases it's going to sell for you, but it won't do the whole job for you in most cases, and so you want to make sure you're supporting that. Did we have another question or no? Okay, I'm going to show some videos then. We know this beautiful person.
Hey, I got
here.
a quick question for you before you show
Sure.
Terry's video.
Yeah.
So if I'm a business owner, let's say I'm a business owner that does hands-on training, right? And now I can't do that because my clients are closed and they won't let outsiders in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can I move it? And I've got this idea, I want to move my business over to video so I can do video delivery.
Sure.
Can you work with a client like that and help them, if they have no experience, help them set up how to convey their message and build their videos, et cetera?
Yes, we can do that. So and that's actually a great way to deliver training, and a combination of video and interactive is fantastic, because It's good to take a quiz when you're in training. It's good to have a little bit of gamification when you're in training. The beautiful thing about that is if I've been delivering in-person training, I have a limited amount of that resource, right? I can only train whatever it is. Maybe I can train 5 times a week and I'm really, really good. Well, that means I can only train 200 times a year. When we turn it into an interactive and video platform, I can train as many times as people want to buy it. So it provides a fantastic scalability, as well as it can also provide a very engaging platform as well, a very engaging experience as well that can help you go.
Amanda.
Yes.
Amanda, another question for you before we get to Terry's award-winning, his Emmy award-winning video here. As you show us these examples, one of the things that I'm thinking is specific use of the video, and that is using the video as you said, an explainer video or an information sharing video on your website versus using the video as more of a sales snippet to drive people to your website or to drive people to take action relative to engaging with you as a business. Can you give us some examples of when and how you might use them and where would you place them? Are these videos all placed on my website or are they placed other places? Can you address that?
Yes, that is a great question. So we are a company that uses largely video as our first introduction because that's what we do, right? So it's easy for us. We have a lot of content to share. And what we find works very well for us and we recommend for clients, and they use these tactics as well, is using video as an introductory piece on social media. We actively use platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook to help us prospect and to get new conversations. And video is a heavy piece of that presence and a heavy piece of those campaigns. We follow up our prospecting with nurturing, and we nurture largely through email campaigns, and those email campaigns depend on video content. Video content is in just about every email that we send out. There's a couple of rare exceptions, like the one where I announced that we would be presenting today on your webinar, but for the most part, every time we send an email, we're going to be sending a video with an explanation of why this is good. We also use video, and our clients do as well, in a very direct sales process. So we work with a lot of clients who are in the engineering or manufacturing or other business-to-business space, and they are not going to get a sale off of an e-commerce site. So someone's not going to watch their video, click, and buy a $200 million building, or that would be unlikely, right? So, but they'll use the videos to help them get in the door for new opportunities, and they do that through direct email, not an email campaign, but a direct email to the developers or the business owners or the facility owners who can use their services. So there's also digital ad placement. Video is a great tool to use in digital ads if you are, particularly if you are a B2C business and you're looking widely at the consumer market. That's going to get a lot more attention than a still banner ad. So there's a lot of ways you can use it. And of course, traditional television as well, which is perfect thing for certain kinds of brands that have a wide swath. Okay, it looks like we have another question, so I will answer that. You guys read that to me, or can I read it?
Like 30-second ads focused on pain.
30-second ads focused on pain. Yes, so if your solution is for anybody who feels pain, or for a very specific audience of people who feel pain, then using a 30-second spot in a targeted digital campaign would be very effective. And I don't think I put in a sample actually of an ad, but I can definitely show one if people would like. But what that would do is use the data that is online on the website to follow people who are looking up things like, if I'm on Amazon buying pain medication, I'm gonna start seeing this ad. If I type in things like debilitating back pain, I'm going to start seeing this ad. And then there are other ways too that we can follow those behaviors. That can be a really effective tool. Okay. All right. Is there another one, or is that okay?
No.
Great. So answered live. Great, thank you. So I'll show this. And Terry, do you want to talk a little bit about why you called to come in and do this project? This is the CEO to CEO one.
So, you know, the first one we did for the COVID thing was really effective. And this video has worked out really well also, because we're promoting our CEO to CEO program right now and the online version. And we answer a lot of people's questions, and we get the, yeah, we're interested, can you send us more information? So this video really worked out well. You know, it's 1 minute. It covers kind of the details of what we want to tell them, and I think it's pretty to the point. And the other thing I'd point out as we watch the video, and I'm interested in seeing the other ones that you're going to show us today too, is how you guys inputted the what do you want to call it? You know, flashing up on the screen, the website, or, you know, different points that I was making to go down. And I think I haven't gotten back to you yet, but we want to make some modifications to this video. I think we can use the same video, and by changing the pop-ups, the graphics that are there, I think we can use the same video for 2 different products.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. This is what, to the point that I was talking about earlier about making every second count. That's what's beautiful, is sometimes the visual can support other types of voiceover. Sometimes the voice can support other types of visuals, which gives you more flexibility in the use of your assets, which gives you a higher return on investment. We all like that.
It also cut down on the amount of speaking that you had to do, because Mike would say, you know, there were certain things in the text, yeah, because people don't really need to hear me speak that long.
It does, yeah. You don't have, if you can show it, you don't have to say it.
So you know, he would say, okay, you don't need to say this, I can show it on the screen. Yeah. So it's almost like getting 2 minutes in one.
Show, don't tell. Yes. All right, we'll go ahead and watch this one. Will you guys just let me know if it's playing all right for you?
Are you a classic checkbook manager? When you look at your income statement, do you really just see a bunch of numbers? Have you ever heard that it's not about sales and net income? It's about gross profit and cash flow. Hi, my name's Terry Lammers. I've helped hundreds of business owners and leaders understand the true cash flow of their company, including teaching them what their bankability is. My hands-on experience includes growing my previous company from $750,000 a year in sales to over $42 million. In our CEO to CEO program, you will gain a firm understanding of your company's cash flow and its bankability. You will learn how to calculate what we call true cash, how to interpret the financial health of your business with key performance indicators. We will also teach you how to create a profit improvement plan. You're also going to learn what your company's true financial potential is, because you've already achieved it. It's truly amazing. If you sign up for one of our CEO to CEO programs today, you will receive a free copy of my book, You Don't Know What You Don't Know. Don't wait until it's too late. Take control of your business's financial future right now.
Fantastic performance. So thank you, Terry, for letting me share that.
It's a little out of my box, but it's so much that goes into it. You know, like, you know, Mike would say, you know, talk with your hands, emphasize things. And, you know, then I talked with my hand for this time. He's like, look, it looked like he was doing a tomahawk chop, you know, hands. And then, you know, you get done and it's like, well, that was great. But right at the last minute, you looked away from the video, you know, from the camera. So it's an interesting process, but hopefully it's effective.
So yeah, this is a great example of what you guys are really selling is expertise. And when you're selling expertise, it's great to have the expert on camera presenting that. You come across very knowledgeable, confident, trustworthy. Those are all the things that people want to know. So it's a good platform for what you guys sell. And it's always good to look at what's the right style for my business. It's not right for everybody. But yeah, that's a good example of, and it's like right about a minute as well. So you can see how much story you can get in on a minute.
Are you a
Oh, I'm not going to show that one again. The next one I'm going to show is for a manufacturing company. And this one's a little bit over a minute, but I'm showing it because it's a different style. This is an on-location shoot as opposed to studio, and it's a client testimonial. This client is based in St. Louis here, and they were looking to expand into, they work with a lot of high-end companies. This is for TaylorMade, the golf manufacturer, the golf club manufacturer. And they're looking to expand into more clients like that. So a great way to let clients like that know that they exist, and that their work is good and the kind of work that they would want to have done, is to show a project. So I'll show this because it's a very different in style to the one that we did for you guys.
TaylorMade is always reinventing the wheel, as I say. So to give our A-list players a home that they deserve, we decided to team up here with Craftsman and build this incredible 2-story trailer, which is half work area to build their golf clubs and half a beautiful lounge for those guys to relax. We had 3 companies bid for this job, and Craftsman, hands down, had the best ideas, the best drawings. We kind of gave them our idea. They were right on board. They knew exactly what we were talking about. They became part of TaylorMade. They became part of this trailer, which was nice. I've never dealt with a trailer company that was so passionate about this project as I was. Ideation to creation fast is a symbol that Craftsman goes by, and working on this project by far exceeded all 3 of those. I recommend everyone who wants to build a one-of-a-kind trailer to create something like we're standing in right now. This is a representation of myself, TaylorMade, and Craftsman, and I don't know why anyone would go anywhere else.
This is another good example of show, don't tell. You could write a case study about a 2-story trailer that then also expands out and takes up a much larger footprint than what you can get down the road in. But there's nothing like seeing it in action, seeing how it moves, and seeing how happy this end client is, right? That's something that video can do that other types of media are difficult to do. Another thing about this client is their sales have been very focused on having people, getting people to their factory. Their factory is here, their manufacturing floor is here in the St. Louis area. Well, right now it's really difficult to get people. People don't want to travel. There's a lot of restrictions on travel, and they shouldn't necessarily be traveling for work unless they absolutely have to. So this is a great way to get people into on the fabrication floor, seeing the process, all the things that you'd want to typically show off on a visit without having to do that physical visit. You guys have any questions, comments, concerns?
It's interesting. There's actually a company that does that. My neighbor, I was looking at him like,
oh yeah,
same, because I know it was bought out, but anyway,
yes.
I'll have to make a referral for you.
Yes, please do. So there's a company that does everything, right? It's interesting. That's one of the best parts about this business, and you guys probably see it as well, is that you'll get a call and you'll talk to someone about their business. Go, man, I had no idea you could make a career out of that. It's really interesting stuff. So the last one I'm going to show you is a video that we produced for ourselves. We believe in video, obviously, it's what we do. And this is kind of walks you through the process of working on a video with us. And it's an animation, so it's a different style. I'm going to show you can also do a minute in animation as opposed to having someone talk on camera.
Sure, you already know that 79% of executives watch videos to help them make business decisions. That 72% of the online audience prefers video to learn about products or services over any other form of communication. And that video on a website increases conversion rates by an average of 80%. But pulling together an effective video strategy, that takes time, money, and pulls your valuable resources away from their everyday responsibilities. When Solstice Productions becomes your fractional in-house video team, your priorities, your goals, your budget, and your deadline become our business. For one set monthly rate, we develop a video communication strategy and brand narrative, create a turnkey production plan and schedule, produce effective and engaging content, and organize and store your video assets. Shorten the sales cycle, increase lead conversion, attract top talent, standardize processes. Ready to get started?
So, yeah, thank you. So that's a piece that we did for ourselves because we really were working on, we have a lot of clients where we do repeat business for them, and we're really helping to build out their story and their brand, give them a asset library that they can use for a lot of different purposes, and also help design strategy. How are they going to use these pieces to help them get to the next level? So in order to communicate that to a wider audience, as opposed to a one-on-one, we made a video for ourselves that helped explain what that process was.
You know, we've done videos. We do you guys do drone videos?
We do.
Okay, so I have to keep that in mind, but we did one for one of our larger clients in selling the business, and it really worked out really well. We did a drone of their whole property and inside their buildings, and then did an interview with the client and answering just some simple questions about why he's selling the business and what he thinks are strong points of the business. And showing that video to potential buyers has been very strong. So it's really neat. I think, you know, what you guys do in helping to build the brand of your company, and, you know, hopefully that builds value into the company also. It was neat, you know, to have you on, because video is powerful, and people don't mind watching a 1-minute video. And for people like myself that aren't big readers, you know, I would sooner watch a 1-minute video than sit there and read text for 1 minute.
Yep. And you can get a lot more across in a minute of video than a minute of text as well.
So,
Okay, well, I'm looking at our Q&A box, and I really want to encourage you right now. We're going to take just a quick minute to begin the process of wrapping up by giving each of our 3 presenters an opportunity to make some last comments.
Well,
You
before
have,
before
go
we
ahead.
do so, Marquita,
Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to ask Amanda a couple of questions.
Okay, great, awesome.
So Amanda, if a company like, for example, let me get back to that training company for a minute. So if you're a training company that had focused on, you know, basically one-on-one in-person training in the past, right? And now that's not available to you, and you've got to pivot and figure out how to survive in this marketplace. Can you give us a sense of timeline and potentially even budget, and, you know, what would be some insider's tips on how would they get started, and how would they move forward in looking how to pivot their business?
So, you know, a first step would really be to take a look at the opportunity. So who was that client base that you were selling to, and where is an opportunity to, would you be serving those same existing clients? Would you be looking to add new clients? Are the new clients in the same profile as the existing clients? I think it really is taking a look at those questions before you can start to put together a plan that makes sense. The next thing would be to, once you take a look at that opportunity from a market perspective, then you want to take a look at an opportunity from a revenue perspective. So what does it make sense to charge? Maybe if I'm training one-on-one in person, maybe I'm charging $5,000 per day. I'm making that up, I don't know. But because it's going to be delivered in a different way, maybe instead I'm charging monthly. So what makes sense then to charge per month? Can they scale it out? What kind of access do I want to allow? And those things will start to answer some key questions about what makes sense for an initial investment in moving this way, and how quickly should you see a return on that investment. Those are questions that are really important to answer before you start designing a solution.
So I hope I'm not wrong on this, but I think just from knowing you and listening to you speak in other situations, you also have the capability of taking like a 1-hour presentation and cutting and editing it to create, you know, like a speaker's video or something like that, cutting it down and grabbing the sound bites, correct?
Yes. Yeah, that's absolutely true. So we have done some speaker reels. We've worked in a lot of different worlds, a lot of different industries. So you always want to take, pardon me, you always want to take a look at how can you make the best, what is going to be the best use of what exists, and what is the budget that makes sense given the potential return.
So we also have a
always look at the project in that way.
We have a question from Amy. Do you produce individual videos for clients or work solely with clients on an annual contractual basis?
We produce individual videos all the time. So that's typically how most of our engagements start, is a single project. So we can get to know you, you can get to know us. And for some clients, all they need is the single project. So absolutely.
Good question.
Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, did you guys have other?
There's some interesting hardware over your shoulder. Is that an Academy Award?
Oh, no. Yes, did you notice that? So we have in my office, I have a Telly Award, AVA Digital Award, and a Marketing Excellence Award. I have tried to collect the other statues from around the office, but they told me I'm only allowed to display these ones because they want theirs in their rooms. So yes, we that's one of the ways that we like to engage in the overall video production community is submitting. We submit probably at least 1 or 2 projects a year, and it's fun, and it's also just a nice way to be engaged in the larger.
Well, I can tell you from working with you, I think we've done 3 videos together now, that it's humbling. And I laugh because the one time when I think it was the second video we did, I said, "Wow, man, you're pretty good at this." And you just I do, Terry. I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah, we're pretty good. So we've been doing this for a long time, and we like what we do, and we like working with business owners and learning about new businesses, and we love it when there's a good result, right? So that's always the.
So Amanda, will you do like a free consult with somebody so let's say that training company is in a position where they've got to pivot their whole business model now.
It sounds like you know this training company.
Can you sit down and talk with them and work that through?
I can. So yes, so what we'll typically do is we schedule a 30-minute, we call it a discovery session. We will listen, we will ask questions, I will listen, I will ask some questions, I'll give some guidance, and we'll talk about what would be a logical next step, and let people make some decision points about if it makes sense to take a next step or not.
We do have one more question. So what's the best strength? What's been the best strength you have in video production?
So I think it's listening. I would say that's number 1. We work with a very diverse client base, which means that we need to learn new things on a regular basis, like how a particular kind of machine toasts soybeans so that it can turn it into soybean oil that then turns into biofuel. I never thought I was going to need to learn that, and they don't teach it in video and film and theater school. So listening well saves, and the front end saves a ton of time in the prep and the edit and the delivery end. So we're able to be very efficient because we listen very well at the beginning.
You have to share that video with me on toasting soybeans, because
well, it's actually a VR experience, so you can get
sold hundreds of thousands of gallons of soy oil for
yes, that was actually for Illinois soybean, and it's part, we did the animation, 3D animation piece of a VR experience.
For Illinois Soybean Association?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. That kind of surprised me. It's like, whoa.
We know about a lot of different stuff. Yes, a lot of things. So I know the different colors for a gas pipe versus one that delivers oil versus power lines versus fiber optics. So it really is listening well, because you want to learn it once, deliver it properly, and when you are applying that knowledge again, you want to be able to recall it. So it's great.
Well, listen, it's been great having you on the show today.
Yeah.
And I think it's really neat. Appreciate the questions. And we're at about 5 minutes left. Steve, I think we got just a couple quick slides, and then we'll let Marquita wrap it up. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So,
right.
At the risk of having a cheap plug here, we wanted to talk about our online coaching program that we launched a couple weeks ago that the video is partly for, called the Business Profit Improvement Plan. This is an offset of the CEO program. It's a completely online program that covers 4 sessions. The first session, I don't have control of the slide, Steve, if you can grab, is really about getting your financial statements readable and relevant. So this webinar will be emailed to you, and if you want to dig into this further, please feel free to. The second section is all about your bankability and what makes you bankable. We talk about lending and get you to create a debt service schedule and teach you what your debt service coverage ratio is, which is mainly what the banks are looking at when they make a loan for you. The third section teaches you key performance indicators to look at in running your business, and we call it the owner's report card. So it's something you look at on a monthly basis. And the last section is the profit improvement plan. But we get you to lay out several years, 3 to 5 years worth of financial statements and all the different percentages for your expenses that are divided by total sales. And you pick, that's where in the video I said you've already achieved it. So we picked your best percentages throughout the years, slide them over into one, and it's amazing that a company that maybe had $200,000 a year in cash flow, if they can use this as a plan to hit their best percentages, they could have had the potential to maybe make $500,000 a year. So if you're interested in profit improvement plan, the website is www.business profit improvement plan, and if you insert the promo code 150 off, you'll get $150 off of the program. So thanks, Amanda, for being on. Marquita, we'll turn it over to you and let you wrap it up.
Okay, great. Well, we'll start with the wrap up now. And first, I'd just like to say to Amanda, I want to say both congratulations and thank you, because I am so impressed at your firm, and I like those little awards that you've picked up, in industry level awards. You've done a wonderful job for us. And I can see now even more broadly what you do for your full customer base. It is just amazing. And thanks for being here. And Amanda, with that said, I'm going to, as I do when I wrap up, I like to give everyone a last opportunity to make a couple comments before we sign off. Would you like to make any final comments as we begin to conclude here?
Sure. Just, thank you for the opportunity. And sometimes we start conversations with, hey, I'm having this business challenge. I don't know if video is the right fit. If it's not, I have no problem telling you that. If it could be, then I'm happy to help design a solution. So yeah, so any kind of challenges people might be going through, always happy to have a conversation.
Great, thanks. Okay, Terry, any last comments from you?
Yeah, so, we focus a lot on numbers in our company, percentages and ratios and doing valuations. But, in building value in a company, it was neat to have you on, Amanda, because I think it shows that there's other things that can be done to really help build your brand besides numbers and influence your customer base and gain new customers. So, cool.
Great. Steve, the floor is yours.
Amanda, thank you so much. As you know, we're all about surviving, pivoting where necessary, and learning how to thrive again in the new environments we're in. So video resources is so important. We're trying to learn it. We're trying to use it effectively in our organization, and we're strong proponents. We had an incredible experience with your company so far, and look forward to doing more of it. So thank you very much for taking the time today to share with our audience. We're very appreciative.
Thank you.
Great. And to all participants, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you here next week, same time.
Yeah. Oh, so real quickly, next week we'll have Peter Racing on from Mass Mutual to talk. He's a financial advisor, and we'll talk about, getting to your retirement and the role that a financial advisor should play. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Take care.